if there was a feast that, if you performed it correctly, would mean your complete and total deliverance from all things that enslaved you? If so, how much time, energy, focus, attention would you put into the observance of such a feast? This is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 4, the Torah portion Bo, which contextually can mean either come or go. Let's go to Shemot, Exodus chapter number 12, and begin reading with verse number 1. Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This new moon is the beginning of new moons for you. It is the first new moon of the year for you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th day of this new moon, each one of them is to take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beings, according to each man's need. You make your count for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same new moon. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Israel shall slay it between the evenings. They shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts of the lintel of the house where they eat it. And then instructions are given as to how to consume the lamb. And so Yah is instituting for us the beginning of our counting of time. We understand from Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 1, that the sun, moon, and stars are given to us not to be worshipped or to be adored and idolized, but rather they are time-keeping pieces. These planetary bodies stipulate for us the beginning of days and weeks, months, and years. And so we study the heavens not looking for clues and fortune-telling. We're looking to see what they tell us concerning what time it is. Yah declares that the beginning of months to be counted begins with the month Aviv. And so what we have done is made our arguments about whether Aviv begins here, there, or somewhere else. So I'm not going down the calendar beginning arguing path. That's not necessary. You have your opinion, I have mine, and Yeshua has the right one, and he will tell us what it is when he comes. May he come quickly, soon, and in our day, and tell us what we need to know. So Yah is determining for us the beginning of days and the beginning of months. What this also tells us that it is Yah who determines our celebrations, our observances. It is our Father in heaven who brings order, structure, the systems of life to us. Who are we to argue with him? And so we find then that the command is that each home is to take a perfect lamb, bring it into the house, care for it, observe it, and make sure that there are no flaws in this lamb. This is done for 4 days, and then the lamb is slaughtered on the 14th day. This was a pattern that Yeshua observed, he being the Pesach lamb that all of these previous lambs pointed to. And so on the 10th day of the month of Aviv, in the last year of Yeshua's earthly life, he got on a donkey that was found for him and rode triumphantly into the city of Jerusalem. This would have been on the first day of the week. He had just had a Sabbath or Shabbat meal and stayed with his friends Lazarus, Martha, and Miriam in Bethany. And then it's about a mile, maybe 2 to Jerusalem. He would have walked in, got on the donkey, and rode in triumphantly into the city with the people worshiping him, proclaiming him to be the son of David. That he is Messiah ben David, but just not manifested as such yet. That's yet to come. And so from this time, for the next 4 days, over and again, the scholars, the scribes, the Pharisees, they question him, they examine him, they debate with him. He is revealing to those who are following him great insights pertaining to the kingdom. Ultimately, after he is arrested, brought in, thoroughly examined by the high priest and those with him, he is brought before Pilate, who is the governing authority for all of this area. And it is Pilate, the Roman authority, who makes the final decree and says he's a spotless lamb. He did so by saying, I find no fault in him. Which begs a question. How is it then that we can find fault with Yeshua? And the reason that I say that is that there are those who have been sitting on a pew somewhere and seat somewhere in a congregational setting, and they have questioned, is this all that there is? And they have wrestled within themselves and strove in the scriptures and come to an understanding that I need to return to the commands, and they have found Yeshua in the pages of the Torah, and they see him revealed, and they see him in the prophets, and they rejoice. The feast days, they see him in the feast days, they see him in Shabbat. And then in their learning process, somehow in the magnitude and the magnificence of their esteemed wisdom and grand learning, they began to find fault with Rav Shaul, the Apostle Paul, or one of the other apostles. They began to question some of the books of what has been called the New Testament, the Brit Hadashah. And then they turn on Yeshua, and ultimately they began to walk away from Yeshua. And at that point, what do we have left? Well, we still have the commands. We still have the prophets and the Torah. And these are wonderful things. And they are. But unless they are revealing Yeshua to us, what do we have? It has been a heartbreaking process to watch people that I know and have worshiped with and have loved turn their back on our Messiah and find their knowledge to be so esteemed that they have reasoned him out of necessity, any necessity for themselves. Pesach is about Yeshua. We can make it about whether you meet in your home, or whether you meet as an assembly, or whether you have lamb or don't have lamb, about whether you do a Seder of one type or the other, or any Seder at all. And all of these things that we conjure up as debates about the perfections of Pesach and its observance. It's amazing how we get stuck on such things. Yah taught me a long time ago, questioning him about, Father, I've made this great leap. I've made this grand change. I've left the pastorate and surrendered credentials to come and to follow you in this path. And things that I thought I understood at the initiation of this journey, now I don't understand, and I don't understand why they're not working as I had imagined. And he brought me down to this, son, I can use mechanics. I can use methodologies. What I'm looking for is the purity of heart. Understanding that Yah is looking for a pure heart that is purely devoted to him and is sincerely seeking to love him through his word and through worship and obedience to his commands. Takes the pressure off. The way you do things, the way I do things, we may not be perfect in our observance. We strive to do the best that we can. But if in my striving to be perfect in observance is separating me from all the rest of the body of Messiah, and it's making me a focal point of arguments, dissensions, divisions, factions, and people being upset and angry, I've missed Yeshua in the midst of it. The Torah, Pesach, all of the feast days, all of the prophets, they're about revealing Yeshua, who is the Redeemer, the Passover Lamb. Let's examine for him and find the perfection that he is. And I'll see you again tomorrow. To then, shalom.